Hi guys, happy Sunday. Welcome to our podcast. I really hope you're well, that you've had a wonderful week, and I'm so happy that you've joined me today. As you may be able to see behind me, it's a very cold, wintry December day here in the UK, and what better time when it's like this than to stay inside, watch some videos, listen to some podcasts and work on our learning. And I'm really happy that on this day that you've chosen to listen to one of our podcasts or watch our videos. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is really picking up on something that I spoke about before when I was talking about, inflation and recession. And when you have these two things together, kind of how difficult that can actually be for an economy, and how then what actually happens is quite uncertain, because the levers that you can pull to try and kind of spend your way out of a recession are also the same levers that can worsen inflation, and the things that you then do to try and combat inflation, like raise interest rates to try and stop people from spending, to try and bring down that demand for goods and services so their prices can try and fall, are things that aren't actually very good for trying to get you out of a recession. So this combination of a recession and high inflation is called stagflation, and we've had it before, but it doesn't happen that often. It happened previously in the UK around the 1970s. But yeah, it's one of those really tricky things that takes careful balancing, and what it ultimately points to is a lot of uncertainty, because you really don't know what's going to happen. But I think what we do know is that times are tough. They don't look like they're going to get easier anytime soon. So, let's not be doom and gloom about that, and let's not focus on that as a problem, but let's work out what we can do for ourselves about it. And one of the things that I thought that I would talk to you about today is something that I'm really interested in. So you may know or you may not know that I'm an economist, and one of the things that really fascinates me about economics is that it's not only about how the economy works, how markets work, but it's also a branch of economics is about how people work, how people think, and the biases that we have and the impacts that can have, and then also how those can be exploited. And I think when it comes to our financial decisions, the way that we behave, the decisions that we make, our own behavioural biases can have a real impact on our financial decisions. We're not computers, we're not robots, we don't make optimal decisions all the time in any aspect of our life, and our finances is one of those. But behavioural economics can really kind of help us to understand some of the things that we may be doing without even realising it. And one of those things that I thought may be good to kind of talk about right now is that we tend to have a bias for the present. So how many times have you wanted something and you want it now? So you're going to buy it now, you've seen it, however you're going to buy it, you can buy it now. We have a bias for having things right now. We want that instant gratification. And you can see that with the way that technology has developed, in terms of, we get everything right there on our phones. We don't have to wait for it. If you think about not even that many years ago, if you wanted to find out the news or something like that, you'd either walk to your local shop or go to your local shop and get a newspaper, or you'd watch the news on the TV. And before we had kind of on-demand news channels, you'd have to wait for a news program. So we'd have to wait for these things. Whereas now, you pick up your phone, you go to whichever news site that you want, or even not even the news site, you can even go to social media and find out what's happening in the world. So we have this real kind of need, this real thirst that's been developed for having things right now. And that goes for our spending as well. If we see something, we want it right now. How often do you kind of think of something that you want? And Amazon's a great one for this. I love Amazon and being able to get things, next day. But it really does fuel that bias within us to have things right now. And the ability to get something right now means that we may not think twice about it. We may commit to spending that money without actually thinking twice. Whereas if you had to wait till you were off work or not at school or college or university or something like that and go to a shop and find it and research it in shops and that all that time you're kind of thinking, and you're also living without that thing for a bit longer. So you kind of realize, do I need this? Do I want it? You can kind of give yourself a bit more thinking space. When you get things instantly, that thinking space is not there. So I would just bear that in mind next time you want to purchase something. Just remind yourself that you could have a bias for the present and what impact that may be having on your finances. The second one is overconfidence. Now, confidence is a great thing, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be confident, but if we're overconfident, then we can make decisions that aren't in our best interests. And I think one of the big ones when it comes to finances is, how often do we buy things on a credit card or something like that because we think it's fine, I'll be able to pay it off next month? Or we take out a loan and we look at that payment that you have to pay every month and it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. We are very confident in our future ability to do things. Another great one is we think to ourselves, oh no, it's fine, I will buy these, I'll spend all of my money this month because I know I'll be able to save next month, and I'll keep saving, and that's fine, this 1 month won't matter. We tend to believe that we will be much better in the future, and we are very confident about our ability to do things in the future. And I think when that comes to finances, one of the big things that I think about is savings. How confident are you that you can save? How confident are you that you can build up that emergency fund and keep it there and not spend it? So that's another one that I would say, when you're working through your finances and putting your own plan in place, just have these things in the back of your mind. These aren't things that I'm telling you, oh, these are terrible, these are like really bad traits that you have. They're not. We all have them. Everyone has biases. But if we're aware of them, then we have knowledge. And knowledge is power in this, because it can make us think twice about things. And having an extra thought or an extra 5 minutes to consider something can actually make a big difference to the actions that we take. And the more that we know about how we behave, the more that we can think about whether the decisions that we make are decisions that we actually want to be making. So the final one that I wanted to talk to you about, which I think is really important when it comes to our finances, is something that's called social proof. And this is kind of a newer thing that's come around in behavioural economics. And that is how we are influenced by what other people do. And that can be, you see what other people have and you think, I wouldn't mind having some of that for myself. But we also find that businesses tend to exploit this as well. How many times have you see it quite a lot in online, more in online shopping really. How many times have you been on a website and they're telling you how many people have bought something, how many people have this item in their basket, how many people are looking at this right now? There is something within us as humans that we think if other people are doing something, or if they've made that decision, then it's a good decision to make. So a good one is when you're booking hotels and things like that, and they're saying, oh, 12 people have booked this hotel in the last 24 hours. You're like, well, must be a good hotel if all these people are booking it. So that kind of social proof, and it's a way of businesses encouraging us, nudging us to make a purchase, when if we didn't have that, we may stop, do a bit more research, search around a bit more. But it's like, oh no, I found a great hotel here because so many people are either looking at this hotel or they have already booked this hotel. And it can happen with everything, where you have, doesn't have to be hotels and things like that, it can be anything that you're buying online. It's so easy to put these messages out there. Not saying that the messages are untrue, but the fact that the message is there can mean that more people purchase that item. And there have been studies that show that it works, and that's why people use it. And so I just wanted to go through those three things, because I think in this world of uncertainty that we're all living in at the minute, with increasing prices and recessions and not really knowing what's going to happen next, apart from it may not get much better very soon, I just thought it was worth kind of thinking about our own behaviour and kind of trying to understand a bit more about that and what it may mean for our financial decisions. So I would say if you're looking to purchase something, take out credit, or, you know, when you're doing your Christmas shopping, when you're thinking about your savings, the insurances that you buy. Just try and think about what your natural behaviour is, and try and remember what these kind of different behavioural economics concepts that I've spoken about are, and just see how they may be impacting your decision. It may be that you make exactly the same decision, and that's absolutely fine, but at least you would have given yourself an opportunity to think about it. And the final thing that I would love to leave you with today is, I think all of this, some of it, not all of it, some of it stems from actually, when are we taught about finances and managing our own personal finances? Who teaches us these things? We may be very lucky and we have a family member or somebody like that who teaches us about personal finance when we're younger. But I think a lot of us rely on the school system for our learning, and I don't think that our financial learning should be any different to that. We should be learning these things from a young age, and we should be learning how to manage our finances. It has such a huge impact on our whole entire lives. So it's really important that we equip our children, the people who are the future of tomorrow, with these skills, and also give people, adults, the support that they need if they want to, you know, improve their financial skills. So we at Avoiding Broke, we have a petition out at the minute on change.org to get financial skills onto the school curriculum. So it's taught in primary schools, from primary schools all the way up, so we can actually equip the people of this country to improve their financial skills, improve their outcomes, because we feel like it would have such a huge impact. So I will put a link to that petition in this video, or you can go find it on our Facebook page. It is there. And it would be wonderful that if you also believe in this cause, that you would sign that petition as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me today. I really hope you found that useful. There are so many other behavioural economics concepts out there, and it's kind of a really accessible subject, and it's about how we think, how we work, and so it's fascinating. Well, I find it fascinating. So I really hope you found that useful. You have a wonderful week, and I will definitely be speaking to you again soon. Okay guys, you take care. Bye.